Hello and welcome to Northern Lights, a very special edition of the Utilita Highland League Cup final preview. And as usual, I'm welcomed by my partners in crime and fellow Rothesians, Dave Edwards and Carl Ennis. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Afternoon, Martin. How are you?
I'm great.
Martin, you look an awful lot younger than you did last time I seen you.
Well,
What's happening?
it's no Photoshop, Dave. It's genuine. For those of you who don't know, I've been sporting a beard all summer, much to Colin Henry's consternation.
Why are you getting rid of it now? You could have been ideal Santa.
Well, it's been mentioned. It's been mentioned, but most folk didn't realise Santa was actually furloughed. Well, that's what I'm telling folk in my house. So we've had a wee bit of a break since the last show, and obviously we kind of be on air without mentioning the fact that in excess of 20,000 viewers over the 20 weeks or so, 24 shows I think we did. So that was pretty phenomenal, and we did a wee bit of awareness along the way, various causes, such as my namesake doing his bit for My Name's Dodie campaign, which obviously you're sporting an MND shirt, Dave.
Yeah, I arrived the day after our last show, so I thought it was fitting to wear it this afternoon just ahead of the cup final.
Right. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you if you've been on holiday, because obviously we've all been stuck at home, and possibly we might be even stuck at home even longer, depending on how things go in the next days and weeks. Carl, I've got to mention, for once, my manager at Peterhead is on the same page as your Mr. Dave Cormack. We are also of the opinion that it's about time we stood firm, and that we were trying to get some form of fans into grounds, albeit in a very reduced number. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting to a point now. I think what we're looking for is clarity and timelines. You know, we did a 300 event a couple of weeks ago, which was successful. There's been no cases. Pittodrie holds 20,000 people. We can easily get more than that in. The 1,000 was denied, the Celtic game. But I think the club are just looking for some clarity as to when is the next one going to be, when are we actually going to start doing these test events again, and start building up. I mean, I know public health is obviously the biggest issue, and nobody's wanting anybody to be put under any threat of getting any COVID or anything like that. But, there's people getting allowed to go to theatres or whatever, sitting outside, even if you had 5,000 in a 20,000 seater stadium, following all the protocols and stuff. There's no reason why there can't be a timeline put in place by now by the government. The lower league clubs are just going to die. They can't survive without gate income. It's pretty tragic.
Yeah, troubled times for sure. One of the blessings has been the advent of streaming games, and the Highland League were their usual pioneering selves last weekend in respect that both semi-finals were streamed. The Formartine United Rothes game on the Saturday, and the Brora Rangers versus Buckie Thistle game on the Sunday. Let's cut now to the goals from the Formartine Rothes game, and commentary is by our very own Dave Edwards.
Long ball from McEwen across to Smith. Formartine going nowhere at the moment, but doesn't take long to open up a defence, especially with somebody like Greg now on the pitch, and Smith. Smith feeds. It's a goal! Great strike by Daniel Park from the edge of the box. Fed by Stuart Smith, and Daniel Park buries it low past Sean McCarthy from 18 yards to put Formartine 1 up. 20 minutes to go. It's Formartine United 1, Rothes 0. Malley, his first sight of him, back in a tangerine shirt. Young Ross Gunn. Youngster does well, gets his cross in. Half chance here for Rothes. It's a goal! It's an equaliser. And it's Ali Sutherland, I think. Ali Sutherland drills it with his left foot past Kevin Main. An equaliser for the Spaysiders with 4.5 minutes left on the clock. I must admit I didn't see that coming, but he showed great composure, the former Elgin City man, to take that one as it came to him. Bruce Milne was all over Johnny Smith there, and Rothes get the ball. Young gun, confident little youngster. Great ball through. Ball through to Craig Cormack. What can he do? And he scores! Craig Cormack sends it low past Kevin Main to send Rothes into a 2-1 lead. And we're only 2 minutes into the first period of extra time for Martin claiming offside. Referee explaining that the ball was played through.
So that was the game at North Lodge Park. For, Rothes going through in extra time 2-1. Dave, obviously you were the man on the ground on the day. Rothes worth their victory?
I think they were, Martin. I think they had the better chances. Kevin made some super saves, actually. Closest for Martin came to opening the scoring was when Conor Gethins put one past the post from about 6 yards. That was a one that you would imagine Gethins would have taken. But then, of course, with 20 minutes to go, Dan Park scores, and you think, well, can you really see Rothes coming back? But they did. With 4 minutes to go, Ali Sutherland got that equaliser, and then Rothes stunned United 2 minutes in extra time when Craig Cormack burst through. United were looking for offside. I think it might have just been level. I think he was probably just level. He went through and he buried it past Kevin Main. And after that, really, there was only going to be the one winner. I think Rothes deserved their place in this afternoon's cup final at Kynoch Park.
Well, Dave, 24 hours later, Brora were hosting Buckie Thistle up at Dudgeon Park. Now, Brora had obviously been the back of their 3 competitive games in the Betfred Cup, where Buckie Thistle were making their first competitive game of the season. Let's cut across now to the goals with the commentary coming from Dale Pride MacDonald.
Joe McCabe trying to get right out on this right-hand side when the throw-in is on the left. Whether that will be a ploy they will maintain, we will have to wait and see. But Wagner loses out. And the ball's played through to Stephen Ross. It's a great effort and it's a goal. Stephen Ross needed no hesitation. And the visitors take a very early lead here at Dudgeon Park. It was a very neat ball through and it went right into the bottom left-hand corner of Joe Mallon's goal. And that is exactly what Graham Stewart would have been looking for at the start of this match. That's headed out as far as Mark McLean on the edge of the box. Gillespie puts it wide again to Wagner. Sends another ball in. Easily headed out by Hamish Monroe. And it's a good ball by Martin McLean. Finds Wagner who sends it over. And Brora Rangers have equalised in this Highland League Cup semi-final. It was a great ball by Martin McLean. Found Wagner in space on the right-hand side of the box. And he nestled his shot beyond Daniel Bell across the face of goal. And in this Highland League Cup semi-final, it's all square. And now Andy McCaskill will send in the corner. It comes in. Chuck Murray heads it down and he's headed it home, and Buckie Thistle take the lead at the start of second half stoppage time. It was a great corner from Andy McCaskill. Jack Murray made just enough room for himself and headed beyond Joe Mallon. It's Buckie Thistle leading 2-1 in this Utilita Highland League Cup semi-final at Dudgeon Park. They've got nearly everyone in the box. Sends in a good delivery. Falls in the box to Jordan McRae. It's blocked. And it's managed to be cleared as far as Ali McDonald comes to Gregor McDonald. It's in! Gregor McDonald has equalised. And what an effort it was. Managed to send it towards goal. The defender in front of Daniel Bell seemed to be the decoy. And it sailed through the Buckie Thistle goalkeeper's hands.
So guys, that was Brora Rangers succumbing to Buckie Thistle. A wee bit of a shock, I think. Dave?
Yeah, I would have said both of them were shocks. If you were looking at the games before the semis, you would have said it was possibly going to be a for Martin Brora final, possibly. Most people would have gone for. But no, Rothes deserved their place. And Buckie Thistle certainly deserved their place as well. You score 5 penalties plus Joe Mallon, you're doing very well. And of course, earlier in the week, I caught up with a very happy Buckie Thistle manager, Graham Stewart. Graham Stewart, manager of Buckie Thistle. Spider, lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Dave.
And thanks very much for coming on to Northern Lights. We really appreciate your time.
No problem.
Now, looking back at Saturday, what a magnificent performance. I would have said it was against the odds, Graham, because most people, I think, would have, when they saw the drop of the semi-finals, would probably have gone for a Brora Rangers for Martin final. Rothes upset the odds, and you certainly did at Dudgeon Park last Sunday.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. And the majority of people I spoke to thought it was going to be a very difficult game, and we knew that as well. But like you say, we upset the odds. But what a performance it was! It was probably as good as I've had since being manager at Buckie, and that's throughout the whole 6 years. It was just everything that we did was super. Work rate, our shape, our finishing. It was just all sort of came together. So you need a game like that, though. When you're playing Brora, you need everything to go together, and it was a super performance.
You looked as if you were through with just seconds to go, and in added time, Brora scored to make it 2-2. How did that feel?
You're thinking it's not going to be your day. To be honest, it was upsetting. We thought we were probably just a bit there. But again, you've got to give credit to Brora. I was impressed with them. It's not like they never played well. I thought they played really well too. And they came back. 1-0 down, they came back. 2-1 down, they came back. So they showed a lot of spirit and fight. And that's what you expect, because they're the best team in the league. They're the league champions. They've been probably one of the top teams, if not the top team, last 3 or 4 years in the Highland League. So we expected that, but like I said, just delighted we got through in the end.
How confident were you going into the penalty shootout? Because Malin is possibly the best keeper in the league, but Daniel Bell, excellent goalkeeper as well. Were you reasonably confident when it went to penalties, Graham?
I was quietly confident. I mean, I think Daniel Bell's just as, I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league. So we're confident with that. We practiced our pens. We had good pen takers. And it's one of them. Before the pens, I said to the guys, look, I'm just totally proud of what's happened. The performance. Yes, we're going to be gutted if we don't win. But to get to that stage was probably better than what other people expected, maybe not myself. So, we probably went into the penalty shootouts a bit less pressure, to be honest, and that maybe helped us in the end.
You mentioned the word proud, and I'm sure you were very, very proud on Saturday, because it's very strange circumstances. You're playing in a stadium with nobody there. You're playing against the reigning champions of the Highland League. And as you say, the lads did you and their club proud. Yeah,
and I mean, that was our first proper game in, 7 months? Every game we played, the pre-season games, which were great, but due to the cups that they play now, it's hard to get a senior team. So, I mean, all our pre-season games are against junior teams, which, again, no disrespect, but, Brora were playing a higher level of opposition. So for us, we had to get our own sharpness and our own standards. And that's why I kept saying to the guys through the 6 games we played, we had to get our own standards. So that's why you probably see more winning games 4-5, 6-0, because we couldn't take our foot off the gas, because we knew as soon as we came up against Brora, it was going to be a different level. And that's what made me proud, because when you think you've not played a competitive game and the games you've played are maybe not the standard we're used to, unbelievable effort that they ended up raising the standard so much to not only compete, but I thought with the better team of the day.
Yeah. There's been a long layoff since the season finished abruptly in March, Graham. How difficult has it been to do your job as manager of Buckie Thistle in the last 6-7 months? It must have been tricky in times.
Yeah, no, it is hard. Listen, the whole world's going through a hard time, so I don't like moaning too much about it or telling you how hard it's been, because people have had it more difficult. But yeah, you're right. In terms of managing a football club, I don't think anyone would say this is the most challenging time I've had. Try to get players motivated, when they don't know when football's going to come. You've obviously got to deal with all the COVID situations at games, filling in forms, not mixing as much, training separately, and obviously there's the pay situation as well. So it's been difficult. But again, credit to my team, and not just the team, the whole board, the directors. They've supported us, and the players have all stuck together, and that's been a big thing for me. They've stuck together during it, and it showed on Sunday.
That was a big thing with you as a player, was the dressing room and how the dressing room were all together, and you've still got that at Victoria Park, as you say.
Yeah, no, it was the most important thing. Probably I always say that the 2 best dressing rooms I was at was Peterhead and Buckie. When we won the double, and both teams were successful, and there was no. It's easy to say you've got a good team, you'll mix in the changing room, but no, I've been at the teams where the the players are outstanding, you think we've got a chance of winning something, but it doesn't mix, and the changing room has to mix. You know, you don't have to be everyone's best friend, but you've got to be in it together, and socialising helps, obviously, but, you know, pulling together and all feeling like you're a part of a team is massively important.
Now, looking ahead to Saturday's final, again, it'll be an empty stadium. It's at Keith. I would say after Sunday's result, Graham, you'll maybe start slight favourites with most people to win the cup, because Rothes have never won it in their history.
Well, I think Rothes finished 4th last year, and we were 5th or 3rd and 4th, sorry. Yeah, no, listen, we're probably going about 50-50, I would think. We never played Rothes last season, just the way the fixtures came and games got called off. You know, I saw them against Farmarton. I was impressed with them. You know, very well managed. And we know Ross Jack, experienced manager, he's going to have them, you know, drilled, their shape, you know, they're going to be fit. So I think it's a bit of a toss of a coin. Obviously, we think we've got a good chance. Rothes will think they've got a good chance. So it's probably a good one for the neutral, because it should be a competitive and close game.
20 months since you played Rothes, a fount of all knowledge told me last night. And the last time you met, it was a 1-1 draw. So can you see this one possibly going all the way to extra time and maybe even a penalty shootout like last Sunday?
Well, it could. You know, anything could happen. It's a final. Depends who turns up in the day. And you know, you always say who wants it the most. I think both sets of players are going to want it equally. But things can happen. Luck, you know, a mistake, a bit of genius from a player. You know, we've got very talented players. They've got a few talented players. So it just depends what happens in the day. But you're right, it could go to pens. You know, it could be very close. We hope that's not the case, but we'll be prepared for it. You know, we'll practice the pens again, because I think that does make a difference. We hope it doesn't go that way, but if it does, then, you know, it's a bit of a lottery.
I wish you well for Saturday. We'll see you there, Graham, and may the best team win on Saturday at Kynoch Park.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
And thanks for your time on Northern Lights. Appreciate it.
No problem. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
So that was certainly an exciting game. We didn't get to see the penalties, obviously. We just saw the final 2-2 draw. But Carol, given the fact that it's now Buckie and Rothes in the final, do you think it's a bit more even, Stephen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, you know, going to extra time, penalties, got a journey and stuff as well. It's fair takes a lot out of the team. So, you know, Buckie and Rothes, equidistant to Keith, short journeys. You know, I think it'll probably prove a lot more even, definitely. And I think, you know, will we see extra time and penalties again? Maybe. I think it probably will go to extra time, penalties, but we'll see.
Dave, do you think that's a common consensus with the fans for both clubs and the players? In fact, do they think that it's a possibility it's going to go right to the wire?
I think it will, Martin. I think there's very, very little between them. They're very well evenly matched sides. And the fact that the Brora game was 24 hours later than the Rothes game, don't think it makes that much difference. About a whole week to recover. And, you know, I think it's going to be very, very competitive. Might even go to a penalty shootout. I actually caught up with the Rothes skipper, Bruce Milne, earlier in the week. He used to live within 100 yards of Kynoch Park. Now lives beside in Rothes. He's got a bit further to travel, but he's really looking forward to going back to a ground, Kynoch Park, where he graced the pitch for 4 years as a player with Keith. Good evening, Bruce.
Hi, Dave. How's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
Aye, no bad.
Thanks for joining us tonight on Northern Lights. We really appreciate it.
Aye, no problem.
Looking back to Saturday, Bruce, what was it like to play in an empty stadium, basically?
Oh, it was a bit unusual. It was a bit different. Strange warming up. We nobody around the side of the pitch and that. But once you got going, you kind of didn't realise it the same. But aye, pretty strange to start with.
Yeah. The good thing at the moment, Bruce, is that the surfaces are spectacularly good. North Lodge Park was good. Depending on the weather, I would imagine Keith hasn't had a game playing it for quite a while. Keith should be excellent as well. Kynoch Park, a ground you know well, because you used to live just down the road from it.
Aye, I played there for 4 years, so I've seen pictures on social media. It looks pretty good, but for Martin's pitch on Saturday was immaculate. It's probably the best I've played on.
Yeah. Can you give me your thoughts on last Saturday's 2-1 win over for Martin in North Lodge Park. It was against the odds, I would have said.
Well, I maybe. I thought the first half was quite even. We maybe edged it a bit. Second half, they had a lot of the ball. Probably dominated it, and then they scored. But once we scored our goal late on the second half, I thought it was only us that was really going to go on and push on and win. We looked pretty deadly on the break.
Yeah. When they scored with 20 minutes to go, Bruce, the heads might have gone down, but they didn't.
No, we've got a good bit of character about us now. We just seem to dig in and keep going, keep fighting. I think a lot of that's down to the manager. He's kind of instilled that in us since he came, just to keep going and never stop.
You mentioned the manager. What sort of management style has Ross Jack got? He's a former professional player himself, and I take it everything he does is professional.
Everything's, like you say, everything's professional. He's got match reports on everybody before the game, and then you're told what your job is, and you're expected to do it. He doesn't leave no stone unturned, and he's good at that.
A lot in football depends on the spirit in the dressing room. What's the spirit like at the moment? I imagine it's fairly good at McKeswick Park.
It's the best it's ever been. I think boys are just enjoying winning and playing well, and when you're winning, it just things go well for you. And there's a lot of good boys there, a lot of good boys.
And on Saturday, you blunted the threat of Gary Wood and Connor Gethins, two of the best strikers in Highland League football. Slightly different this Saturday. You've got Stephen Ross, you've got Sam Urquhart, and one or two other. Kevin Fraser's always capable of producing something. But I take it you'll do your homework and do it well.
I will. Like you say, that was two very, very good strikers we were playing on Saturday. Slightly different threat this week. A lot of pace, a lot of skill in the Buckie front line. But the manager will done his homework, and he'll explain to us on Saturday how he wants us to play, and we'll go out and we'll try and get our best shot.
Yeah, and you had 6 or 7 players out on Saturday against Martin, Bruce, but I believe you are going to get a couple of them back, and of course there's another signing being made in the last few days. A chap that was training with Elgin City.
Sean was training with us last week and this week, and looks pretty good.
What's his second name again, Sean?
Lyndon, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And then Paul McLeod's back. He should be back for Saturday. And Easter, Greg Main, he's back as well for Saturday. So still missing a couple of boys, but that's 2-3 good players to really bolster the squad.
Yeah, and a lot of experience in Paul McLeod and Greg Main especially, who were forever a decade at Nairn County, and a lot of experience there, Bruce.
And they've been there and done it in this competition before as well, so it's good to have boys like that in your team. Especially, Paul's a fighter, and Easter was captain of Nairn for years, so two great players to add into the squad.
I think he captained, if I remember rightly, he captained Nairn County when they beat Fraserburgh 4-0 at Princess Royal Park a year or two back in the final of this trophy. So you say he knows what it is to lift this trophy?
He's been there and done it. Same with Paul. So that experience is going to hopefully help us, because Buckie have got a lot of players that have been there and done it as well. So yeah, all the added experience helps.
Now, if it were to happen and you were to win the cup on Saturday, what would it mean for you as captain of Rothes Football Club to go up there, up the steps, or maybe on the pitch or whatever? But what would it mean to you to hold the Highland League Cup aloft?
It'd be brilliant. It'd be brilliant. To be made captain of the club was a huge honour, and to be the first person at Rothes to lift it, would be amazing if it happened. That'd be brilliant.
Well, we'll wish you as the Rothes captain, and we'll wish probably Kevin Fraser as a Buckie captain. Every success on Saturday, and let football be the winner at the end of the day. Bruce, thanks for your time. Really appreciate you coming on Northern Lights tonight.
Cheers, Dave.
Thanks very much for that, Dave. Yeah, Bruce is obviously very much looking forward to getting a result, not just for the team, but for the club as a whole and the community. He's certainly doesn't seem to have any pre-match jitters, does he?
No, he's a big, strong central defender, and last Saturday against Formartine, he really snuffed out the potent threat of Gary Wood for Formartine United, so much so that Gary Wood came off in the second half. Bruce Milne kept a very close eye on him and never really gave him a kick of the ball.
He touched on the subject that he was hoping to really do this for the absent fans. Carl spoke about it so much that obviously fans are not going to be at the final. But it's a big deal for the Rothes guys. A, because it's been such a long time since they've been in a final, and B, they've come such a long way in such a short distance, given the fact that they were almost out of existence just a few years ago.
Absolutely, Martin. I mean, Rothes have turned such a corner. They've got a great team now. You know, they've got a unity in the team. They've got consistency. They're doing so well. You know, it's a tragedy that there's not going to be any fans there to watch the game from Buckie or Rothes. But I caught up with one of the Rothes fans last week, Gary McConaughey, otherwise known as Conk, and just to hear his views on how he's feeling about the game and what he thinks about the fans not being there as well. So here we are with Gary McConaughey, a Rothes fan, otherwise known as Conk, and he's given me permission to actually use his nickname. So Conk, how are you doing?
I'm not bad, Carl. How are you?
Good, I'm very well, thank you. Very excited about Rothes getting to the final of the Highland League Cup.
Yep, that's for sure.
So we've got a few questions for you, just to kind of lead into the final on Saturday. So I hope you're ready for some questions about your beloved Rothes and my beloved Rothes as well. So we've waited a long time for this, Gary. So you must be over the moon.
Oh, without a doubt. It's been 10 years since the last final. So to get another one is just fantastic. Obviously, the downside of the whole event is no supporters.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. I mean,
Right.
you know, not having the fans at the game is going to impact the occasion. And I mean, the Rothes fans are known for making a noise.
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to be without the fans there?
I think it's just going to dampen the whole event, really. I mean, if there was a crowd allowed in there on Saturday, it would have been a massive crowd.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I mean, we've got to kind of say to the fans as well, you know, don't turn up because you're not going to get in. You know, it's closed doors, which is such a shame. You know, the fans have waited so long to see this.
Yeah, I think it's also especially hard because it's Buckie Thistle, because we've got such a fantastic friendship with Buckie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had many orange juice over the seasons, over the years. And the crack's just top notch.
Yeah.
So miss out on that as well as the final, put it together, it's quite sad, really.
I mean, we've never won the Highland League Cup, Conk.
No.
I mean, we're probably no favourites going into it, but would you have preferred Buckie or Brora? I mean,
Oh, definitely Buckie.
Definitely Buckie, just because of the locality and the kind of
and the crack, you know, it would have been a great day.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. You know, it would have been party central.
And what's your plans for watching the game, Gary?
Well, I'll just be like everybody else, be watching it on the screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's great that they're live streaming.
Oh,
it so
definitely.
you can watch it.
Oh, definitely. At least it's something in it.
Yeah, a few beers at home.
Oh, I think so. Then we'll be out in town at night, I suppose, celebrating, hopefully.
And what do you think for Rothes as a town it'll do for Rothes if we can win this? Big feel good factor?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Again, if we allowed the supporters in, the town would be emptied. You know, but no, even just if they win it on Saturday, it'll just be fantastic. You know, everybody will be upbeat and happy, and I bring a bit of happy times to what's been quite down times really.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of down times, you know, Rothes have had a massive turnaround. You know, almost in liquidation. You know, the 11th hour saved.
Yeah.
Last season, title contenders. This, you know, and we're now in a League Cup final. I mean, what's your thoughts on the turnaround that we've had?
It's been remarkable, really. Because I've been supporting them since knee high sort of thing, and we've never had, you know, we had great times. Don't get me wrong, you know, but we never had a really good team. But this last couple of years, it's just been great, you know. The backing they've had, the committee they've got now, the management team, everybody, it's in a really good place.
Yeah, well, we've got a pretty strong squad now. We've got in some decent players and stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And, yeah, as you say, and a good management team in that as well, and a bit of stability, I think, which has been lacking.
Yeah, it's been lacking that for a while, but it seems to be still bits they could touch up on, but all in all, it's good.
Yeah,
okay. You know, we'll make it continue.
Well, hopefully Saturday will come and we'll be the champions and we'll be going home. Well, I wonder if they'll do an open top bus down Land Street. That'll be all right, wouldn't it? Socially distanced open top bus down Land Street.
Yeah, you can do that. Get back at Gupta's pickup, you know.
I got in the back at Gupta's pickup when I got married.
Oh well, there you go then.
So finally, Conk, Gary, what's your score prediction for Saturday? You don't have to answer. A lot of folk are a bit suspicious.
No.
But what do you think?
I think we're going to come away with a 2-1 victory.
I would settle for that. Yeah.
And then it's a case of party time, local holiday Monday.
Brilliant. Well, enjoy the occasion, and let's hope we come out on top. I'm sure we will.
Certainly will, my dear. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Conk. Cheers.
Thank you. Ta-ra.
Carol, thanks very much for that. Yes, Gary McConaughey, or as he's known to Rothesians, Conk, he's quite a character, and you can tell that he's just, he would have loved to have been at Kynoch Park on Saturday, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. A few beers would have been had, but I'm sure they still will, but at home.
Indeed. Dave, another man who would love to settle a score at Kynoch Park is obviously the Buckie Thistle assistant manager, Lewis McKinnon. I believe he's played in possibly 4 finals there, and he's yet to come out in the winning side. Is that correct?
Yeah, 4 finals, never been in the winning circle at Kynoch Park. That may change this weekend, it may not. Let's hear from Buckie Thistle centre-half, Lewis McKinnon. Lewis McKinnon, assistant manager, Buckie Thistle, and of course, long-serving centre-half. Louis, welcome to Northern Lights.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
Good stuff. Come on, look back at Sunday, not Saturday. Last Sunday, you probably did upset the odds to beat Brora Rangers in a penalty shootout. What was it like playing at Dudgeon Park, a ground I know you like playing at, but with nobody there, Lewis? It was a strange, surreal atmosphere, I would imagine.
Yes, it was that. It's most unusual not to have the crowd noise behind you. But after about 10-15 minutes, you do get used to the situation. You're actually focused on the game.
I imagine it was a great atmosphere on the bus home. I know you're socially distancing the bus, must be tricky, but it must have been a great atmosphere because I say you did upset the apple cart and get through the final by defeating the league champions.
Oh yeah, I mean when we got back in that dressing, we were absolutely delighted. You know, we showed Brora respect on the field of play. You know, we didn't over elaborate our celebrations, but as soon as we got back into what is their social club, but was our dressing room for the day. The boys were over the moon, you know, delighted. I mean, we've beat Fraserbrand, Brora to make our way to this final, so we've done it the hard way for sure.
Give us an insight of what it's like, Lewis. Are you turning up at the ground in tracksuits, ready to go, basically? Then you go into the social club at Brora for your team talk, and you go in for do your warm-up and back in. It is a wee bit different, but is that the way it works out?
Yeah, to be fair to Brora, they had a fantastic setup because during the pre-season, we've mostly been arriving in our match kit getting changed or putting our boots and our last little bits and pieces on outdoors and then going and playing the game. But Brora, because their social club function hall has enough space to socially distance, they had chairs laid out for us. It gave us a really good area to get prepared as normal as possible, do a team talk and get out on the pitch. So we turned up in tracksuits. It gave us the facilities to get changed, and it was a good setup. Fair play to them.
And a hard 120 minutes and a penalty shootout. You're not so bad. You've just got to go back in the bus to Inverness. There's some poor guys that have to go sweaty and all the rest of it back to Aberdeen. That must.
Yeah, fair play to the guys. That's a long trek from Aberdeen. You win some, you lose some, because more often than not, I've got Fraserburgh away on a Wednesday night or been down to Cove on Monday, Tuesdays nights as well. So it works both ways. But no, the guys, I think being sweaty, dirty, didn't matter. The result on Saturday, everyone was over the moon and just delighted to get another competitive game coming this weekend.
How tough was Sunday? Because Brora really do have a fairly good strike force. They've got the likes of Brindle. They've got Jordan McLeod. They've got this new guy Bjorn Wagoner, the Dutchman. They're a lot of firepower, Louis, but you managed to handle them fairly well.
Well, that's it. I mean, for the prior week to that, we worked on our shape and how we were going to defend and neutralise Brora's threats. We knew how dangerous, particularly Andy McRae was. He drops into the hole and likes to make things happen from there. But we had a game plan, we stuck to it, it worked very well. And I felt over the course of the game, we limited them to, they had a lot of corners, but we limited them to gilt-edged chances, and I think we created a few ourselves. So, no, the game plan came to fruition. It was tough, don't get me wrong, we had to be at our top game, but I felt it came out all well on Sunday.
I made a mistake there. I said Jordan McLeod, of course it's Jordan McRae and Andy McRae. They're pretty good players, all of them. And when it went to penalties, had you practiced penalties for Sunday's game? Because it did work out well for you in the end.
Yeah, we did. We practiced on Thursday night in our training session. That was the last thing we did. Every player in the whole squad hit 5 penalties. So going into the shootout, we knew, we felt confident in the guys all stepping up, because all those guys that were stepping up scored 5 out of 5 penalties in the training session. So they were all stepping up in good form, and duly converted their spot kicks, all bar Kyle McLeod, of course.
And as looking ahead to this Saturday, Rothes are slightly different. They've got a different strike force, but equally good players. And they've got people like a Pollock pulling strings in midfield, and like a Lynn Sutherland. He's quick, he's nippy up top.
Yeah, I mean, I like him, the guy Lynn Sutherland. I think he's a wee bit like Andy McRae, the way he plays the game. He's a cracking player. I mind training with him at Elgin City when we used to train with him on a Tuesday night. So, yeah, they're a good team. They had a great season last season, especially when Ross Jack took over. He's got them, knowing Ross Jack, he'll have them as a well-drilled machine. I'm sure they're working on phases of play, how to stop us. And it'll be a tough game, different game, but and it should be a good game for all.
It looks like Rothes will have 2 players back who've been out for a while. Easter, Greg Main and Paul McLeod. A lot of experience there, and they're coming back into the squad. May not start, but it does help because their bench was a wee bit weak. They're only 5 subs last weekend.
Yes, absolutely. I know both of those players you mentioned. I played with them at Nairn County many years ago, so they're both experienced, good lads, very good players, and they know the game, and they played in a few finals for Nairn County as well. So that'll stand them in good stead just being in the squad on Saturday afternoon. But I tend to focus more on ourselves, and we've got plenty of experience within our squad. A lot of guys from that season when we won the league 3 years ago. So I think we've got more than enough in our dressing room to fully focus on our side of things.
Yeah, the finals at Kynnock Park, is it a ground you like? I had a look through the gate. I was there in Keith a couple of weeks ago, and I looked through. I've never seen the pitch looking so well. It looks magnificent.
Yeah, I've heard the pitch is in fine condition. I quite like playing there. My past history in cup finals there isn't great, actually. So I'd like to put that to bed this weekend. I think I've played 4 finals there and lost all 4. So I think I'm due a good result there this weekend.
Louis, I wish you all the best for Saturday. Look forward to seeing you Saturday afternoon. As I said to Spider, may the better team win on the day, mate.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers.
Cheers, bud.
Cheers.
Thanks very much, Dave. Yeah, it looks very much like Lewis has got an agenda for Saturday. He'd very much like to right that wrong and pick up a trophy at Kynoch Park. And obviously, as we've said before, no fans. It's a big impact on everything. And one particular fan who may get an opportunity to be there on the day, I believe Lynn Sutherland from Buckie, her circumstances as a COVID-19 officer for the club might just get her squeezed through the gate. But you caught up with her earlier in the week, Carol. What did she have to say?
I certainly did, Martin. Yeah, caught up with Lynn earlier this week, and to say that she's excited is an understatement, especially the fact that she may actually get to go to the game. I think it was either that or a choice of picking her husband up from Aberdeen from offshore, and I think she was going to pick the game. But no, Lynn is a very excited Buckie Thistle fan, hoping to see her team picking that trophy up for the 9th time. So here's what she had to say earlier on in the week. Hi there, Lynn. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. We've got Lynn Sutherland here, one of Buckie's biggest fans, to have a chat with us about the Cup final on Saturday. So, Lynn, a few questions about the Jags for you. It's their 16th appearance in Highland League Cup. How are you feeling about Saturday?
Well, quite optimistic, really. After last weekend's match, it was really fantastic that they won, and I really believe that they can go on and win it this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great result against Brora, who are obviously champions. I mean, how nervous were you going into that game, and obviously going to penalties? How did you feel then?
Oh, it was horrendous. I hate penalties at the best of times, and I really had to just walk away, come back and look at the score, and it was just awful, but just delighted at the result.
Big excitement in the house when that final penalty went in.
Definitely. Oh yes. The reason I had my phone on and my dad was here, and we had a delay in the iPad and the phone, so I actually saw the result before he did. So it was a 3 seconds delay, so it was quite funny.
Yeah. I mean, Buckie have obviously won it 8 times. They're probably going into this the favourites. Would you have preferred for Martin or Rothes as your opponents in the final?
Rothes are a pretty good team. The last season, they're really doing well at the moment. Both very good teams. Just got to go on and do our best, really.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, obviously Rothes have come up against adversity kind of last season, and they've done really well, but yourselves, you're a bit of a team in transition just now. You were getting back on track as the league was kind of cancelled, so it could be a great match for both teams, this.
I think it will be, definitely. It'll be a challenge, but definitely up for it. Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame, obviously, we've got no fans there either side. The Buckie and Rothes fans have got a great kind of harmony between them. I'm sure Keith would have been absolutely bouncing on Saturday. How are you feeling about the fact that there's not going to be any fans there to watch?
Quite disappointed, really. The fans would just be so excited about this, and a cup final is just something else for them. And the whole week on social media, they would have been buzzing about it, and it's just a great day out on the bus, and just everybody excited on the bus and singing and getting into the ground and the banter. It's just a great experience, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame, it's a great occasion, and we've got to stress, obviously, there's no point in any fans turning up because they're just not going to get in, and it's obviously not good to be turning up there, hoping that they're going to get to see anything. But it's such a shame that there's not going to be any fans there from either side. I'm sure they would have made a lot of noise.
Definitely, yeah.
So lastly, what's your plans for watching it, Lynn? What are you going to be doing on Saturday?
Well, I just got invited. I actually work for Buckie Thistle as well. Been doing quite a lot of the COVID paperwork as well, so I've actually been invited to go. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to go. Otherwise, I might need to do a trip to Aberdeen to pick up my husband. He's coming home 12 weeks, but I think I might just prefer the football.
Oh God, divorce proceedings. And lastly, you don't have to give me, because I know some folk are superstitious about it, but have you got a score prediction for Saturday, Lynn?
We'll go 3-1 Buckie.
Oh, right, okay. I'm for Rothes, so I'm kind of we'll give you that, but hopefully not. But all the best anyway, and good luck. And let's hope we get a good match out of it anyway.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Thank you.
Well, that was a very interesting interview, Carol. And certainly it was interesting to note that Lynn has got her priorities right in respect that she's possibly going to be at Kynoch Park or watching the game on her phone rather than picking her husband up from offshore. So if there's anybody in the Dice area this afternoon in about half an hour's time, there's going to be a guy looking for a lift to Buckie after getting off the helicopter. Well done, Lynn. Fantastic occasion for everybody, not just at Rothes, but at Buckie as well. Now, we did speak to the Buckie manager, Dave. You didn't manage to catch up with Ross Jack, the Rothes manager, because of his coaching commitments with Inverness Caledonian Thistle during the school holidays. But you did catch up with someone who has been heavily involved in the fantastic turnaround of Rothes Football Club.
Yeah, as he explained to me, Ian Paul, the Rothes chairman, took over just after the club went to court and came within, I think it was 17 minutes, he told me, of going out of business. Heavily involved with the reincarnation of Rothes Football Club. Chairman Ian Paul. Ian, good evening to you.
Hi Dave, how you doing?
I'm fine. How's yourself, Ian?
Nah, good. First, top form.
Good stuff. Now, you're the chairman of Rothes Football Club. You have been for, what, 4 or 5 years now. You must be immensely proud of being in charge of the club when they've gone from the brink of oblivion to reaching the final of the Highland League Cup and finishing 3rd in the league in the same season. Rothes' best finish for 60 years.
Yeah, no question, Dave. I mean, you'll recall, I think I said to you before, 14 minutes we were away from oblivion, probably is the word. Because had we gone to court that fateful day, and probably would never have got back into the Highland League, I suspect. But obviously Richard Forsyth was right there at the helm at a critical time, as were a number of locals, business, football interested people really in general, fans, old, young, new, and we managed to pull it back for, as you say, the brink.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the fans. The fans were amazing last year, especially the young ones. I think they called them the Ultras, but they've changed their name. I believe they're called the Rothes Drams now, whatever DRAMS stands for.
I've no idea. Like, I wouldn't have cared about things like that, Ken.
But their support was important, wasn't it?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. And therein lies the quandary we're in at the moment, Dave, and for what should be a spectacular icing on the cake, really. I mean, we can only dream of the win, but we're, as you say, closer to glory than we've ever been for a long time. And unfortunately, these people are not going to be there. And when we wrote a strategy document for the club, when people engaged in the new committee, right back at the start of this, because it's past 5 years now, it's heading towards 6. And we wrote up a plan, and the whole ethos and the centric piece of the football club was fans at the heart of it. Because there's actually a line in there, I was reading it the day prior to coming tonight, and there's a line in there which is still fresh in my mind, is that the football club only exists for one purpose: to entertain the fans. And by that, I don't just mean the fans, the people that turn up on a Saturday, as you can imagine, and you know it yourself, Dave, for the people in Martin's well aware too. There's people maybe who didn't venture very often, if at all, down to McKeswick Park. But the first thing they'll be doing at the back of 5 on a Saturdays is try to find out how Rothes did today. And unfortunately, there's going to be a massive piece of engagement missing. Having said that, it being televised, there'll be people that can engage through the screen, and hopefully we'll get we'll get a day out in that fashion anyway.
And if Rothes were to bring home the trophy for the first time in, well, first time ever, there would be the odd orange juice shared in the bars of Rothes on Saturday night, possibly.
I would imagine so. People will find a way to celebrate. Here's hoping that we can find a balance and keep everybody safe, because obviously it's no fun times for that at the moment.
Very true.
But we'll need to find a way.
Excellent, Ian. Now, can you give me an insight into your working relationship with a very successful manager indeed, Ross Jack? He's very popular in Speyside. I know he's thoroughly enjoying his job as manager of Rothes. Can you give us an insight into what qualities Ross Jack has that impressed you when you gave him the job?
Well, Ross was the first and foremost thing when he came into the interview room initially, was just straightforward. It was just like when I came to him. And similarly, he actually said similar to me in the months that followed, that it was so relaxed. We actually met in Forest, and as I say, it was just like, it didn't feel like we'd met for the first time. And the questions were open and honest, and they went both ways. And as you can imagine in these situations, Ross already came with a strong reputation, but we were looking for more than that. And we were looking for somebody who could engage with the community idea and the whole spirit of what we'd achieved, because of where we'd come from. Because I mean, it was a step change for us. And we decided 2.5 years ago now, we decided, right, let's move up another 2 gears here. Because the first year, as you came, was about survival, and then it was about being respectable, and then really the last 2 to 2.5 years has been about being competitive.
Yeah.
Competitive, I mean challenging for things, trying to win something.
Yeah. How difficult has it been since lockdown in March, Ian, to keep the players, to keep the club going? I'm thinking of things like players' wages, players' contracts, things like that. The things that usually happen on a day-to-day basis.
It's been tough. I mean, we were one of the clubs who tied into the furlough scheme, so that bought us some time, if you like. But coming back off the furlough scheme to put the boys back into training, it's obviously been quite a financial strain on the club, because we've been paying them basically for going back into training. Mm-hmm. Because we didn't know when and if we were likely to get going again, but we felt it was the right thing to do. But it's near an empty pit, and the situation is that right now we could be facing ultimately a shutdown on the back of the biggest success for many as a decade. But let's see where we go. We'll get Saturday and done with first, and but there's already conversations as to the concerns for the financial aspect and the survival again of the club. Because there's one thing for certain, Dave, we'll not be taking any chances with the finances again.
No,
the club is much more important than anything else, and we got to the brink before, and we won't be going anywhere near that again. It's certainly not under my leadership anyway.
Understand that totally, Ian. Finally, looking ahead to Saturday, you had a tough one last Saturday. You came through it with flying colours with a weakened squad as it was. You had 6 or 7 players out. It's going to be a tough one on Saturday, but it's a 50-50 one in my book. I think you have every chance of coming home with a trophy.
I think that's actually where the neutrals are, Dave, to be honest. I think folk are looking at it, even the so-called forum students and that would be well aware that, I mean, we've actually won, some people probably didn't realise, but we've won 16 of our last 20 games, competitive games I'm talking about. We've lost 3, we've drawn 1. But interestingly in that mix, Ken, and Saturday night reflecting, if you like, I was thinking, well, the last twice we met Brora, we lost both times by a single goal. We beat them in the not too distant past as well at McKeswick Park, as you'll remember. Mm-hmm. And also Buckie, the last time we met Buckie was a 1-1 draw. And believe it or not, that was back in March last year. We haven't played Buckie for 20 months, which is unbelievable, really. And it just shows you how quickly time is flashing by.
Well, Saturday's going to be a very special day for both clubs, Ian. I wish you every success, and thanks for giving us your time. And I know you're very busy at work. We greatly appreciate it on Northern Lights. Thanks, Ian.
Well, thanks very much for the invite, gentlemen. It's a pleasure. I've watched near all your shows, but I've watched a lot of your shows. And it's a first-class setup, and I'm pleased to be part of it. So thanks very much. And be sure and shout the right way. Well, looking at Kane, eh?
You know, and it's nice to speak to someone else that's been up for doing you.
You take care. Cheers, Dave.
Now, Martin, before we cut to the live action on Highland Sports Media, I'm sure everybody out there has subscribed and are about to watch a thrilling cup final. You can tell us quite a lot about what was called the Morganti Cup when it was instigated in 1946. It's now the Highland League Cup. Over to Northern Lights resident statistician Martin Johnson.
That's easy for you to say, Dave. Yeah, indeed, this is the 74th Cup final. It's one of the few competitions that's never been interrupted, and COVID-19 didn't get it either. Traditionally, it was always played at the very start of the season. This year it is, of course, being played at the start of the season, but it's last season it actually started. So it's probably the longest ever running Highland League Cup in history. The most appearance in the cup final, Carl touched on that earlier on, Buckie Thistle with 16 appearances. The most wins, however, and it's quite fitting that the game is at Kynoch Park, the most wins in the Highland League Cup are Keith with 10 victories. The most successive wins, again, Buckie, they won it 3 times in succession between 1955 and 1958, and so did Keith from 1973 to 1976. Interestingly, there's a couple of clubs who had successive defeats as well. 3 successive cup final defeats. Ross County from 1973 to 1976. Yes, if you're here, your ears are serving you right. I said 1973 to 1976, just like Keith won it from 1973-76. 3 years in succession, Keith played Ross County in the final, and 3 years in succession, Keith won the cup, sending Ross County back up the road to Dingwall empty-handed. Another club that have made 3 cup final appearances without success were Devonvale between the years 2000 and 2002. Finally, guys, there have been 17 different winners in the competition over the years, and the most appearances in a final without a win, no, not Rothes, Devonvale with 5.
Well done, Stato.
Well, thank you for that statistics, Martin. Always good in the stato. Thank you to all our guests for appearing this week. We know they've all had pretty busy weeks with what's going on. We wish both teams the best of luck this afternoon. We hope it's a good match. We hope that there is a good outcome for us Rothesians. But let's hope that football wins at the end of the day. We'll get a good match and we'll see what happens at the end of the day. So thank you very much for that, for listening, for watching, and go the Rothes. Mon the Highlanders, mon the Spaysiders.
Well, obviously, we need to balance that out a wee bit and wish Buckie Thistle all the best, because we do still have to buy fish and make visits to Buckie, etc. Yeah, I mean, as we were saying earlier on, it could only happen to 3 Rothes folk that will have a show, and then their home team gets to the final. And whilst we do have a leaning towards our home club, obviously we hope that football wins on the day, and it's nae too long before the fans get back in again. Dave, I'm not going to put you in a spot and ask you for a result, but do you think the Buckie people will be happier than the Rothes people come 5 o'clock tonight?
I think it's too close to call, Martin. I really do. I think it's a very, very close game, and I think it could all go all the way to a penalty shootout. And as I said earlier on, I'm a Rothes boy at heart. Of course I want Rothes to win, but if football wins at the end of the day, then I think everybody's won. I'm just about to don my jacket, get in my commentary position, and I'll see you later.
Dave, thanks very much for that. Guys at home, we're just going to wind things up now. If you haven't already subscribed to the streaming channel, it's far too complicated for me to work out how to put a link on here. So what I'm going to tell you to do is go to either the Highland League Facebook page, the Rothes FC Facebook page, or the Buckie Thistle Facebook page. They've got all the links. Get on. You've got about 15 minutes to get signed in. We'll hope you didn't crash the whole system by going on now. But whether you're a green and white fan or a tangerine fan, all the very best this afternoon, and may the best team win. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.
Keep safe. Bye-bye.